Wind and dry conditions fueled two significant fires in Colorado today. One of them in the Denver metro area, the other in the Eastern Plains. Both the fire in Thornton and the one in Logan County forced people from their homes and briefly shut down roads as well. You can see why by looking at these pictures. All those evacuations, though, we can report to you at this hour, have been lifted. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. I'm Phil Lipoff.
I'm Kim Christensen. We're going to get to Northeast Colorado in just a moment, but first we begin in Thornton, where fire investigators are still trying to determine what caused that 10-acre fire. 9 News reporter Ria Jha is there, and tonight she joins us with the latest. Hey, Ria.
Hi, the wind is definitely picking back up again, and the smell of smoke is kind of blowing. You can still smell it. In the aftermath of this fire, which tore right through the middle here, is black grass and that smell of the smoke. 10 acres near 84th and Huron burned in just a few hours on Wednesday.
Today we face red flag conditions with significant winds and extremely dry conditions.
Thornton Fire Chief Steve Kelly said it started around 11:30 near Pinnacle High School.
With that wind, of course, it would move very quickly.
Wind gusts were reported up to 50 miles per hour, spreading the fire rapidly through this field. Dan Gable's neighborhood on one side.
First saw the smoke as I was getting out of the shower after a run this morning.
And on the other side, businesses.
I just tried to get the hose and started spraying, but it came through the fence so fast. There's nothing we could do. I had to run out of there.
Businesses including Roll Race Motorsports, where Jason Roll and Joseph Davila were working on cars.
Car after car just on fire. Like as soon as the flames hit it, engulfed the cars.
All the vehicles down here in the yard catching on fire, that I'm sure that's what created all that black smoke.
Multiple roads closed. I-25 shut down for a little because of the smoke. Pinnacle High School and homes nearby were evacuated.
Law enforcement went door to door in the neighborhood to the north to evacuate residents. We had fire spread up to the fence line, but did not move into those residential properties.
Firefighters contained the fire before it got to any of the homes, but businesses did sustain damage. 5 people were injured, 4 of them firefighters, but none in critical condition.
And as a reminder, these are conditions that we continue to face on a daily basis here in the Front Range.
For as dry as it's been, it could go up anytime.
Crews are still here now and will be here throughout the night monitoring those hot spots. And again, the cause of this fire is still under investigation. Reporting live in Thornton, Ria Jha, 9 News.
And while firefighters were working to contain the fire in Thornton, another one started burning in northeastern Colorado.
Yeah, that one charred upwards of 4,000 acres near the Nebraska state line and prompted the evacuation of a school and a nearby town. 9 News reporter Shalima Maharaj takes us to Logan County.
It's amazing to see the fire departments from Nebraska all the way to Akron, Hill Rose, all the small rural volunteer firefighters that come here.
Logan County Commissioner Jim Yan says lending a hand is just what they do here.
But not only them, it was the farmers that showed up with equipment and tractors, and it was like a whole army descended on this place and stopped it really.
By Wednesday afternoon, fire crews stopped a large grass fire from consuming a home that's been in Jan's family for 4 generations.
The house that the firefighters saved today, there's 3 houses in there. One of them is the house that I grew up in with my 8 sisters and 1 brother. So.
By late afternoon, scorched earth and the stench of smoke were all that remained.
For the first hour, it was definitely chaotic.
Sterling Fire Chief Levon Ritter says no lives were lost and no buildings were destroyed. A firefighter did wind up with a burned ear.
If the moisture situation doesn't change, this is going to be a weekly event out here. It's just that dry that if anybody goes the least little spark, just like we saw today, can start a catastrophic fire.
The fire was started by a vehicle crash at Highway 113 and Logan County Road 66 just before 1:30 p.m.
So this one's a little unique in that the vehicle itself wasn't on fire. It was just the friction of the cargo that they were carrying slid on the road, and I think that sparked the fire.
Ritter credits a mutual aid arrangement with neighboring fire departments for helping them get the situation under control.
If any one of our departments had to face this alone, you'd probably be doing this interview in Kansas tonight.
Shalima Maharaj, 9 News.
Oof. Kathy, we knew these days are coming and there's probably more of them.
Oh, those are such good people out there. Pete's and Pedroni and Sterling, all those farmers and ranchers helping each other with their tractors and just helping neighbors helping neighbors. Those stories are amazing. We all need to be vigilant as the critical fire weather conditions will not be going away anytime soon. And we're so very lucky today with the wind as bad as it was that things turned out the way that they did. I mean, hats off to all of the fire managers and firemen and firefighters and firewomen out there today. Amazing job. Almost looked like fire in the sky tonight when the sun went down. That color was really vivid. In the mountains, we do have a little bit of snow and blowing snow after a day with winds to almost 90 miles per hour in areas like Copper Mountain, Georgetown, winds to almost 80. DIA had a ground stop for a little while due to the gusty winds. Temperatures are mild this hour in the 50s. The wind is still howling, especially in the foothills and north of us. Now, the red flag warning has canceled, but tomorrow we go under a fire weather watch. This while we're tracking snow in the mountains, and we have winter weather and travel advisories out for additional light accumulation, but only until midnight. Much more on the mountain snow and the wind forecast for Denver for tomorrow coming up.
Things are back to normal at Buckley Space Force Base tonight. A report of something believed to be explosives led to gate and road closures for several hours at the installation. First responders determined there was never any threat. Buckley gave the all clear just before 8:30 tonight.
Governor Polis has been fighting for months to comply with a civil immigration subpoena. Now he's asking a court to prevent him from doing just that. Follow this. The subpoena sent to the state's Labor Department in April requests contact and employment information for about 35 adults caring for unaccompanied minors in the country without lawful status. The document was signed by a Homeland Security special agent, not a judge. Colorado law signed by Polis himself restricts state and local governments from sharing personally identifying information with immigration agents unless it's part of a criminal investigation or to comply with a court-issued subpoena. A state employee sued, trying to prevent that information from being shared. In a new court filing, attorneys for Polis asked a judge to indefinitely block the governor from doing just that, arguing there's no longer appears to be pressing demand for the records. A spokesperson for Polis sent us a statement reading in part, while we believe responding to the subpoena was allowed in this instance, given the timeline and lack of additional information from the federal agency, it is time to move forward.
Democratic state lawmakers are considering forcing businesses to install baby changing stations in bathrooms. A bill under consideration this legislative session would require changing stations in gender-specific restrooms, men's and women's or gender-neutral bathroom. Democratic State Representative Tammy Story is sponsoring it. She says the issue was brought attention to her by a mom who could not find a changing station in a women's room. It's also an issue dads frequently deal with in men's rooms.
There need to be options out there for parents to be able to change diapers and have a clean, safe, and convenient place to do that.
Story says the cost to buy changing stations is anywhere from $300 to $500. Currently, the bill would exempt state and historic buildings because of the cost.
CBI is making progress, cutting down the time it takes to process DNA collected in sexual assault cases, but the agency is still far short of its goal. That is according to a new audit from the state. The agency's rape kit backlog became an even bigger problem after the scandal surrounding Missy Woods was disclosed a couple of years ago. The former DNA analyst is facing dozens of criminal charges stemming from accusations she altered or deleted data over the course of her decades-long career. CBI has had to review more than 10,000 cases that she worked on. The audit shows, as of the end of last month, the average time it takes to process rape kits is 190 days. That's a nearly 60% reduction from just June. CBI's goal is to get all DNA testing done in 90 days.
The private prison company that runs the immigration detention facility in Aurora was just dealt a blow by the U.S. Supreme Court. The GEO Group is fighting a lawsuit from 2014 that claims detainees in Aurora had to perform unpaid janitorial work and other jobs for little pay. GEO defended its practices and argued that the case should be tossed out because it's immune from lawsuits as a government contractor. After a judge disagreed, the company asked the U.S. Supreme Court to allow it to quickly appeal the ruling. The justices refused.
So it's fair to say it shouldn't be hard for our federal government to disclose where they are keeping people when they are in custody. But advocates and families share over and over again their loved ones are vanishing within the ICE detention system.
Our Angeli McCall spoke with them. They tell her the problem is only getting worse.
The first emotion was surprise. Detention wasn't planned.
Era muy difícil por él, por los niños, y entonces fue muy difícil.
Then a second emotion, confusion.
No, muy mal, no me esperaba.
Heidi's husband, John, was detained at the Aurora Detention Center. He was then transferred to facilities in Louisiana and Texas. The moves felt like a disappearance.
No supe de él, ni preocupada porque no supe si lo habían mandado para Colombia. No sabía nada.
She relied on the ICE Locator app. Submit a birth date, name, and country of origin. It tells you the whereabouts of your loved one in ICE custody. Except for weeks, it didn't.
Yo todos los días mandaba correos, llamaba, pero no me dan respuesta por ningún lado.
And without the locator, they found no other way to get information.
I would put in the search and it would just say 0 results.
Holly Chang with Aurora Unido CSO tried to get information on John. Phone calls, messages, no answers.
If you agree with that or not, people should not be disappeared in this country and treated in a way that's so inhumane. And people's families and friends should not be wondering where they are.
Other advocates would tell you Heidi's situation is not unique.
So it was incredibly chaotic, incredibly confusing. All of us would sort of end the day after trying to get information completely exhausted, frustrated, and frankly enraged that it would be so hard just to get the most basic information about someone who is detained.
Another advocate, Whitney Duncan, ran into the same problem. No info on the ICE locator, with not just one family, but 2. It got to the point where families couldn't put money on commissary accounts to even make calls because they didn't know where they were.
I feel like we sort of spread our nets far and wide and spent a lot of time on the phone and really just trying to get very basic information, and we're unable to, even with multiple advocates working on behalf of these families. It's absolutely unacceptable to be seeing people disappeared without due process, without anyone being held accountable.
For Heidi, she eventually heard from her husband again when he arrived in Colombia, deported.
Como te digo, si el localizador no aparece y él no se comunica, no podemos saber de él.
Her husband, held by the system, then lost within it.
When we asked ICE about this issue, they forwarded us to an FAQ page. Now, since we first asked, they have since included a phone number that people can call when the locator is down to find information about their loved ones. We're curious to know if that's something that will be more reliable for people who do just want very simple answers about where their loved ones are. In Denver, Angela McCall, 9 News.